Hey guys, my name is Brent, and that's Vinnie and his lovely wife, Francesca, joining us for another episode of the Dog Owners Podcast. This episode is going to be about our dogs at the end of their life. Let's get started. All right, guys. So we are here today in a very loving circle of people who want to share some space with you guys. And we want to open up a little bit about our lives and our experiences, because today we're going to be talking about something that everyone at some point who owns a dog has to go through. And it's not an easy subject, and it's something that you think will never actually come. But if you had the privilege of getting to love dogs and see them to the end of life, you guys know that it never gets easier. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So those of you guys who follow Vinnie, you guys know that he just lost a very important member of his family, Xena. And so his wife, Francesca, is joining us on this episode so that we can talk about and remember her and remember some of the other dogs that we've lost along the way, and kind of give you guys our 2 cents and our perspectives and our experience of things we've been able to do to help ourselves, but also help our clients get through some of these losses that we might experience. So, Vinnie, take it away.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And, you know, I want to talk a lot about Xena today, and I want you to talk about Xena as well. And I also want to talk about how it can affect the pack dynamic and what to look for in those scenarios. And then also of like, when do I fill the void of losing that dog with another dog? You're never going to replace that. And obviously I know that, but there is going to be a time when you're going to be ready for another dog. But how do you know when that looks like? First, I kind of want to talk about Xena's end of life care and what that looked like, and try to give some other people some information to go off of if your dog ever ends up in this position. So Xena was 9.5, and she was as healthy as an ox. And just like that, she started having some weird symptoms, losing some weight, not eating as much food. Dude, you would not believe this, but this was like a 3-month, unfortunate, like 3-month roller coaster. The first month in though, she went on a 5-day fast, obviously not because we
Not
wanted her to.
voluntary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. And on that 5th day, we were having a fire in the backyard, and she straight up tackled a deer, whipped it down by the throat, and it was like, oh my God, this dog's fine, right? Like, we just got to get her to the vet. One little bug is off. And that's what we thought, right? And we took her there. They were like, yeah, I mean, it's probably just some GI issues that are going on. So load her up on some antibiotics. Because she was on antibiotics, she was having some GI issues. So we gave her a lot of probiotics and some different stuff. And Brent, we actually went the holistic route as well. Like I was pulling everything we possibly could. I mean, we spent like a Honda Civic on this dog in the last 3 months, but that to me is worth it, because I kept telling myself that there's a chance that she's going to get much better, right? Until the veterinarian tells me, hey, there is no chance that, and this dog is now suffering, which unfortunately, I can say that Xena definitely suffered the last week. So I'm thankful that we tried everything holistic. We tried everything from the, what do you call that? Holistic and
Western
Yeah.
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we tried everything conventional medicine wise, and she just wasn't getting better, dude. She wasn't getting better, and I took her everywhere. And this was one of those weird scenarios, Brent, where no one could find an answer. Stomach biopsy, blood work, CT scan, the whole 9 yards, like every X-rays, everything. And there was just nothing that they could find. And it's infuriating, right? And it's like, well, I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep trying this and that. And unfortunately, we took her to the vet, and they said, listen, I don't know where this dog's cancer is. I can guarantee you this dog has cancer. We went to 2 last veterinarians to kind of get 2 last perspectives. And they said, she's 75 pounds, down from 130. There's just There's nothing that you can do, and we were hand feeding her with syringes and Dine. I don't know if you ever used Dine, brother, but it's a liquid calorie. So you put it in a syringe and you feed it to him. So she's eating 15, 1,600 calories a day, enough to
Wow.
gain significant weight, but still losing it because something is making her body use too much energy. And it's awful. It really is awful. And from the outside looking in, like if I was one of my friends coming over, I see this sick dog and I'd be like, "Oh, why are you doing this?" Well, they don't remember the 9 years where this dog has had my fucking back every day, right? It's like they don't remember the fact that I remember her first training lesson and taking her out to a park. They don't see all that. So it's easier from the outside to be like, "Well, why are you still trying?" Because I have so much history with this dog and she's worth it. And I don't care if I bankrupt myself, I will try to find an answer. But we couldn't. And that is awful. The one thing that I'm the most grateful, Brent, of is they probably have these they probably start in LA. What am I kidding? In-home euthanasia. So on her last day, we have that 17-acre farm. We got to take her out and I bury all my dogs on the farm. I love that. I want my dogs with me. I want to be buried there. And so there's certain restrictions on that, but you can get by it.
There's certain restriction.
You can get by it. Yeah, you can totally get by it. Just no one can ever sell the land again, which fuck my kids. That they're
Yeah,
screwed.
you have to become a cemetery or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Probably get a tax write off.
Yeah, exactly.
And all my dogs are buried there. We got to walk her out there. She's a Saint Bernard, and it was a snowy day. It was like 21 degrees, and
That's
she
perfect.
she mustered up enough energy to walk her ass out there. I told her down right on a blanket. She goes right down. This is where I perceive as the most important that you remain calm. Like I'm probably not going to cry much today because I've cried enough this week. I told Brent earlier on in a podcast I cry like once every 3 months, and I got a really good cry out. But if I do, I apologize. Oh fuck you! I'd lie to you.
Good. Be a
um,
liar.
yeah. These last moments are really important for me as a dog owner, and I do want you to talk about this as well. But these last moments are really important. I don't like the idea of us sobbing over our dog while they're alive. I don't want to add panic to a dog who doesn't know what's going on to begin with, and I don't think that's really fair to the dog. I want to stay as calm as possible, and I have this post that I put out every time I lose a dog called "Go in the Room." And fortunately, this was at my home, but this would apply to any time that you're at a vet's office and or if somebody comes to your house. So, go in the room means this: your dog has been that loyal companion for 5, 9, 10, 15 years, whatever it's been. They've been your loyal companion, and the type of loyalty that dogs bring is something that we could never buy. You just can never replicate that loyalty. So you need to go in the room so that your dog is not afraid of the fact that you're not there, that you're not coming back, that something is wrong. It's like, no, I'm going to lay here right next to you. I'm going to hold your head in my arms. I'm going to scratch you. I'm going to tell you how proud I am of you, how strong you are, how you're the sweetest girl in the whole world. And that is important, to not be hysterical next to them. Be calm, because for them, they don't know that this is the end, right? And maybe they do, but there's no benefit of me being hysterical, creating more anxiety for my animal. I'm going to be that strong, calm, confident dad, confident mom that I have always been for that dog. I'm going to stay right there next to them until their last heartbeat, and the last fucking thing that dog better see before he sees his brothers and sisters is my face, is your face, right? Is your face as the owner. And it sucks. Brent, you know that this sucks. Anybody who's loved a dog knows that this sucks. But then I think about all of the dogs whose owner leaves them there, walks out of the room, and the last thing they look at is a person they don't know. And that's totally unfair. And that's not right. So you muster up that courage. You sit next to your dog and you tell them how proud they are, how strong they are. And that's your best friend. And that's all I got to say about that.
Powerful. Anything you want to say, Chess?
Um, this is like my first time losing a dog that close to me, and I've always heard you talk about in the past, like, go in the room. I know how important it is to go in the room, but you had to keep reminding me to stay strong for her, and I didn't realize what that meant until, like, in those final moments because, like you said, you don't want to cause more panic or for them to know that something's wrong, and you can see it in their face, and it it was just peaceful. It as hard as it was and as much as you wanna cry, the stronger you are for them, the stronger they'll be for you, and it just happens so perfectly. It almost gives you and your dog probably the closure that you need in those final moments. I don't know if that sounds silly or not, but, like, I never realized how important that was until we went through that this weekend.
Really like that advice because it when we cry, we're making it about us. Like when we get hysterical, I'm in pain, I'm losing my dog, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But when we can sit there and we can be strong and we can be present and we can hold them and we could just act like we're taking a nap. That's all we're doing. Like that's where you are in the moment and present with your dog. And I think one of the beautiful things is, as we all know, the dogs live in the moment. And if we can be in that moment with our dogs versus being too far in the future or too far in the past, just be there. That's the best thing that we can do. And then, of course, when they pass, like fucking let it out. You know what I mean? Like you could feel it. When I just last March, I lost my dog, Big Mama, and what's funny is it's not. I say the word funny to cover up things that aren't funny sometimes. Um, I've 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 been around a couple euthanasias, maybe 6 euthanasias in my life, right? And when you put your dog down, on my first dog, Toby, I remember he like perked up. He was like, "I'm fine, actually. I'm I'm good. Don't worry about it," And then I was like, "And you're not fine, boy. Like you're filled with cancer and you're jaundiced." He was literally yellow. His organs failed him, and so I was there, and I remember feeling obviously pain. Like I think some of this has to do with maturity too. Like I was so sad when he was going, but I was with him. But I was so sad, but I was calming him and comforting him. But when he left, I felt energy go away, right? I felt something, whether it's the last breath, whether it's electromagnetism, whether it's a spirit, whatever you want to call it. I felt something leave the room, right? And there were several dogs where I felt they left the room. Big Mama was the only dog who didn't leave. Like Big Mama was like, fuck this, she was like, fuck this. And my dog, Big Mama, she was a 75-pound Tibetan Mastiff. And for the last 8 months of her life, she couldn't walk, her not well. And I want to kind of go into end of life a little bit, because 8 months prior to her getting cancer everywhere, and I had to put her down. As soon as she lost the ability to walk, I was like, okay, that's it. Time to put her down. And the woman who takes care of my animals when I'm at work, she's my property manager. Her name's Diane, and she's so wise in so many ways. She used to run my mentor's nonprofit, and she would take care of 45 animals all by herself, and she did it like no other. She's super, like if rescue organizations had special operations teams, like that'd be her. Like she's a freaking the best with animals. And she told me she's not ready. And I was like, what does that mean? She can't walk. She can't do it, but she crawls around and her back legs wouldn't work. And so my kitchen became hospice care for a dog for 8 months. And I remember selfishly being like, she's not happy, right? But she was happy in her face and her energy and her vibe. She's just like, her legs didn't work, but she was happy. I wasn't happy, right? And so 8 months of cleaning up pee and cleaning up poop and putting mats down and changing her and wiping her and all this stuff. It was hospice care for my dog. But in 8 months, we were able to make her comfortable. We were able to put her on the right meds. There were some times, some days, her back legs would start working. She'd stand up for like out of nowhere. She'd walk a few steps and then fall down. And we're like, what the hell? And when you see how much spirit a dog has and how much fight a dog has in them and how, how like Xena grabbed a fucking deer and like, like you're just like you're alive. Like you're fully alive. You're fully full of life. And all of that, I was so grateful that this woman was in my life who taught me they'll let you know when they're ready. Like I thought she was ready as soon as her legs couldn't work. And she took care of her when I was gone. And I bought her a wagon, like a big wagon, and I would put her big ass inside the wagon. And we'd like hump on a blanket, 1, 2, 3, boom, throw her in this wagon, and I would wagon her around my property, and I'd take her up the street and down the street, man. And those wagon walks, they were tiring because I had to pull a fucking big ass dog. But I'm so grateful I got those wagon walks, and I'm so grateful that she stayed with me an extra 8 months, even though my brain, my logic, my whatever you want to call it, said it's time for her to go. And I now understand this idea of let them live their full time with us. And I now understand this idea of, you'll know when they're ready. Right. And I really appreciate your story, Vinny and Chess, for you guys tried everything in the books, and you guys made sure Xena lived her full time, and you guys made sure you did everything to make sure she was comfortable. And I'm sure there was a time where she was like, I'm good now. I'm okay with this, So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Brent, when you talked about you can feel the energy of your dog leaving when you put your dog down, I have a very similar feeling, and I almost felt as if a part of me was dying with my dog. And it was like this huge chapter of my life because, you go through different chapters of your life. I totally understand. I'm only 33, so kind of naive to all of the chapters. But that dog was with me when I was, 23 to 33. It was this big moment in my life. And all of a sudden, much like a bug, that portion of my life feels ripped out of me. And that's it's a grief feeling. And then you get to look back on all the pictures and the memories. Like that's the first thing I tell everyone when you lose a dog is like, go through all of your photo albums and you have forgotten all of the things that you have done with his dog. Like we went through, and what are some of your favorite pictures and memories that we had of Xena as we went through them?
I forget how much she used to play. Like those ball throwers, the plastic stick, that was her toy. Like she would rip that thing out of my arm and I would chase her all
like
over
the
the
stick
farm.
itself, not the ball.
Yeah, not the ball,
chuck it,
just
the chuck it stick.
the chuck it stick, yeah. What else?
You take her to the beach and you got to watch videos of her running in the beach. You watch videos of her with other dogs. The first time she met Crunch, first time she met Roscoe.
I think it's important to talk about the North Carolina, what it started for her, the whimpering.
Yeah.
I'll let you go ahead.
So we took her to North Carolina and we hammered this dog. Like we were on the beach for hours, and this is after an 8-hour drive, and she's dead. Remember, she's a Saint Bernard, so you give her a Saint Bernard 2-3 hours.
She's burned out, yeah,
dude, dead. So we came back. We went to dinner. We're like, oh, she'll be fine. We'll go to dinner. We came back. Brent, she's sitting on this couch, and we walk back in, and she opens up her eyes. She goes,
She's never made that sound before. But then all of a sudden she starts making it every time we come home. Like it's this big ordeal.
Yeah, I do want to preface this. This is not every time we come home. This is every time Mom comes home because Mom refuses to listen to the fact that there's a dog trainer living inside her house.
I should have put my tongue on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Can I tell you one quick funny story, Brent?
Yeah, please.
This is a great story. This is one of my favorite stories of all time. Brent, what would you say that a characteristic of a Tibetan Mastiff is to be extremely protective and territorial? That's like a
100%. It's in their DNA, and it's funny. And for everyone listening, protective and territorial. It turned off when she was off my property. When she was not on my property, she could go to the vet, she could go to the store, she could go to the mall. She was fine. But at my property, she would eat you.
and that, once again, that's why you need to get the breed that is when you have a property like yours. That makes total sense, right? So Francesca and I came out to visit you, brother. Okay, you know where I'm going with this. So Francesca and I came out to visit Brent. We stayed at his house. Beautiful house, by the way. If you guys ever get a chance to go to Brent's house, so for those single women or men out there, you should absolutely
It's not a dating app, bro.
Well, I want to go double dates with you. But
yeah, me too. That'd be fun.
so Francesca goes into Brent's garage. What?
You guys were not home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're not there. Francesca's back.
I'm hanging out
at the house, and Brent has
going to Brent's gym.
Yeah, and right in the garage.
Yeah.
And who's in Brent's garage?
Big Mama.
So we come back home after being out, Brent, you and I, after training.
I don't remember this. Actually,
this is
oh my
You were
gosh!
like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "What?"
Francesca just goes straight into Big Mama's den. If some weights, Big Mama never gets up. She's like, whatever.
No, she did.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she came in there.
What'd she do?
Nothing. Circled me and then went back out. Yeah, she was in there.
I mean, she does like the girls. She does like the ladies. Like, yeah, she'll warm up to
I
a
was safe.
girl.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And what's so funny is you were just like, she's a big dog. I love big dogs. My gosh, you could have been missing an arm, Chess.
I'm glad I didn't try to kiss her.
No, but I'm glad she might have let you. Who knows? But she would handpick, like if she trusts, like if she likes your soul, she'd be like, okay, you can kick it. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you were like hairy or Italian, or
that's just going to be an anti-Semitic joke, right?
No,
Like,
I didn't say anything. I was just anti-Italian. No, I'm Italian too. But yeah, that is in that story. Actually, I do remember now that you guys are saying it. That is really, really funny. That's really funny.
That's a great story. So I think it's also important to talk about Brent.
Yeah.
You have a pack of dogs, and one of Brent's missions, I just got done telling you this the other day, is Brent, talk about your multiple dog household.
The multi-dog household thing?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of math and a little bit of just culture, right? So like I grew up in a household where I had 5 dogs, right? And most of them lived outside, so it was easy to have 5 dogs on like an acre of land. And you know, it used to be a thing also for humans to have like 3 or 4 kids, right? That was normal. And now people are like, I got 1 kid, I'm done. The same thing is happening in the dog world. People are adopting 1 dog and they're like, I'm done. That's all I can handle. And so my one of my missions is if I can make competent dog owners, like if we can put out educational series and videos and like help change the culture of dog ownership to go back to a multi-dog household, there's a lot of dogs that wouldn't have to die in the shelter, right? Like if it became cool to have 2 dogs, maybe 3 dogs, and they don't have to be big. So you could have 3 little dogs, you know what I mean? But like there's so many dogs who not only do better as a sibling, there's so many dogs that would actually have better mental health if they had a dog in a yard to run around, to play with and be dogs, you know, versus a dog who constantly relies on a human that doesn't have enough time or attention for them. So that's one of the things that I want to help kind of influence over the next couple of years.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's different having, so before I met Francesca, I had 3 dogs and she had 1 dog. And, you know, so you can attest to this, but it's so much more fun when you have a pack.
Yeah.
You know,
no, I'd love to know. So I know, Chess, you had Roscoe, right? You have Roscoe.
Yep.
And he was your an only child.
Only child.
And when he came into the pack, what were some differences, some transitional stuff, but what ultimately happened to Roscoe's personality?
A lot. Roscoe was really tough as an only child. That's obviously how I met Vinny. He needed his help
Mhm.
with him. But after bringing Roscoe into his pack, I think Roscoe was kinda like, "Oh, shit." Like, I have not shoes to fill, but I have, like, these other dogs who are so well behaved, and he learned so much from them, not even just from you, but from Trigger, from Thurman, so much from Xena. Xena was his first friend, like, he learned to play with another dog he had never played before. So I saw a lot of his personality come out, in different ways that I had never seen before, because it was just me walking him and training him or throwing the ball, and then it turned into he can play tug with another dog, or he can run around in the backyard and not have an issue or not guard his toys, and he learned boundaries, and it was really cool.
It
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. So like people, I hate this is what I hate that happens in just modern dog culture. People will label a dog as a thing. They'll be like, this dog is small dog aggressive, or this dog can't be with another male, or this dog can't be with another female. And we know as humans that our mental health has to do with community,
Mhm.
right? Like someone who's like a hermit who lives in the mountains, no wonder they're crazy because they have no one to bounce their thoughts and ideas and emotions off of, you know? But if we have community, if we have family, if we have siblings, if we have people who a pack, if you will, or a tribe, our mental health is better, and our social skills are better, and our nervous systems are better. You know, like all of that stuff. And so, one of the big things for like dogs who are only children, they don't get to bounce that out. Like the only other thing they bounce their energy and ideas and stuff off of is a human who barely speaks their language. You know what I mean? So I
Mhm.
think I think
100%.
that's cool to see, like to hear Roscoe's just personality started coming out because he had people to model, you know, and
Mhm.
he had siblings to bounce off his energy and his instincts and all that stuff. So that's freaking awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah, dude, and just we're gonna end up going on a few tangents here, which I appreciate. It also goes to, um, show the importance that your current dogs should be in a particular position before you bring in a dog. Like, it was really easy to bring in Roscoe. Like, she was like, "How's this gonna go? What are we gonna do?" I said, "We're just gonna walk this fucking dog up here. I'm gonna let these 3 dogs out. They're all stable. If shit goes south, I will correct him, and the dogs will just get along." Right? It's easy when you have that as, as your baseline is like, "Here's 3 dogs, totally stable, social dogs, have been around dogs their whole life. Let me bring in a new one," and the y from being out in LA right next to Caesar, how they always talk about the power of the pack, but there is something to be said about that, right? It's like he's gonna learn much faster from Trigger than he's gonna learn from me. He's gonna learn much faster from other dogs, for better or worse, by the way, and that's why if I bring in 2 shitheads together, and then
Hmm.
I've got 2 shithead behaviors, then we've got a problem. But, I personally cannot agree with you more about get more than 1 dog. If you have the space, especially if you have a fenced-in backyard, oh my god, get another dog. Like, there's nothing cooler than watching their personal relationship grow.
Hmm.
Like, so we brought in Crunch, the infamous Crunch, and, his first friend was Xena right out of the gate, right? Playing with Xena. Over the next 3, 4, 5 months, him and Roscoe became inseparable, and he would still play with Xena, but it was like, man, their whole dynamic started to change, and now Crunch can do things to Roscoe that Crunch can pin him to the ground, which would never
Hmm.
happen, right?
Hmm.
But it's so beautiful to see that change happen when you have pack dogs, and the reason we started talking about this is because there's a change when you add, and unfortunately, there's also a change when you lose one. And
Hmm.
when we lost Xena, it's only been a week, but there are certain things that I can already see. There's certain things I don't see, and there's certain things that you need to be aware of. So,
Hmm.
Brent, you want to
Yeah.
get right into this?
Well, we hear this discussion about hierarchies, and if you guys research some Coppinger, you guys research a couple books that talk about like wolf and pack dynamics. One of the big things to understand in every pack, there's an alpha male and an alpha female. And a lot of times people think like there's like this badass male dog who's at the top of the pecking order and all that stuff. But it's so funny, at least in domesticated dogs, it's usually some like small female dog.
Yeah.
That's usually the boss, right? And so typically, you know, when we talk about dominance, usually what you're going to see is, so some people think it is the baddest, biggest, fastest motherfucker, when in reality it is the most stable, the most fair, the one who who follows through, like the most consistent, like dog training dog, if you will, right? And you'll see that those are the ones that help keep the order. That's like the social glue of your pack. And so many times I'll see a couple things. I'll see when those dogs get ill, I'll see dogs, lower ranking dogs, like dogs who are in the middle, they start fighting for position 2 or 3 again all of a sudden, because the dominant one is not there to keep them in line, or not as strong to keep them in line, right? You'll also see there to be chaos. I'll literally see dogs when the dominant figure passes away. I'll see some dogs that dominant dog was their other dog's confidence. So let's say you had a nervous dog, but that nervous dog acted confident because their big brother made them feel safe and secure. Well, as soon as that big brother goes away, now all of a sudden you have a 7-year-old dog who's anxious again, and they don't know how to behave. So, you know, just like in human dynamics, right? Like, we don't have to try and separate this too much from humans, because, you know, if we lose the core of our family, like grandma was the core, right? And we lose her, now all of a sudden, like, who's calling us to keep the traditions alive? You know, who's reminding us whose birthday it is? You know, so little things like that happen even with dogs. Yeah, so we'll see positions that open up and positions that need to be filled. And when we talk about, this is important to understand, when we talk about safety and security in dogs, security is rooted, and this is actually with people too. Security as a concept is a rational thought. So like for humans, it would be like, I got enough money in the bank, I got enough food in the fridge, I know where Vinnie is, I know where Francesca is. Like, these are factual things. So in dog training, security is developed through consistent repetition of things, right? Consistency in a schedule, consistency in an outcome, consistency in a routine. So that way your dog goes, I feel secure because, you know, I know exactly what's about to happen and I can predict it. So it's rational to the dog. Safety, on the other hand, has a lot to do with, am I under threat or am I not under threat? This is more of like an emotional struggle, right? So if your dog made your other dogs feel safe because of their presence, as soon as that dog is gone, now all of a sudden your dogs don't feel emotionally safe, because so at some point you'll see one dog step up to the plate to try and like, don't worry guys, I got it now, or don't worry, I'll take the lead. And sometimes you'll have 2 dogs competing for that same position.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head, because it creates a vacuum, right? And it's like that void does need filled. You know, Xena was by all means the dominant bitch in the house, right?
Mhm.
It's like, if she said something to the other dogs, it went. There was never a question. She was also the dog that would try to kill anything on the farm. Like, the other dogs, they see something, they have no idea what she's doing, but she's doing it, right?
Mhm.
Like, I have this funny story I was telling Francesca about. This was probably 7 years ago. I had my 2 big dogs and a down on one end of the farm, and I took Thurman with me to go check on the horses. And we're talking 150 yards away. And Thurman's following me, and the goat came out of nowhere and headbutted Thurman. Dude, Xena sprinted full sprint 150 yards and fucked that goat up. You know, it's like,
Shit.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
but that was her. Like, you know, from day one, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, listen, this is something that I do, and I love that about her. I think it was great. She kept the other dogs in line, and with her gone, you know, I'll talk a little bit about Crunch, but I'd like you to talk about the differences you've seen in Roscoe.
Mm.
Crunch is almost unchanged. Like, not once, like, he is just a happy-go-lucky dog who is like, I just still do the same thing every day. There's been 0 change in his behavior at all, which is, I was like, wow, that's unique. I expected him to be different. Now, it's very important, guys, when you lose a dog, that your schedule that you've had, like Brent just talked about, should not change. the things that you were doing at the times that you were doing, if those change as well, you're going to see stress amplify. And also, because even if you stick to the same schedule that you were doing, things are still different for your dog, which does make them stressed. Which means if you're not giving them an outlet for this stress, if you're not keeping your dogs active during this time, you're going to see a boatload of other behaviors that seem to pop up out of nowhere, like you've talked about. But there's a clear reason. It's like your dog is stressed. The dog is going through some sort of grieving process, right? And not the same way that you and I would go through it, but a grieving process nonetheless. And if you don't keep them active and you don't stick to a schedule, you'll start to see changes. And we've seen some minor change in Roscoe. I'll have you kind of talk about that.
Really just being kind of clingy. I have been trying to make an effort to like create separation because
Uh-huh.
he is a little bit more clingy, needy, a little whiny, um, very obvious that he needs to go outside and like run and get lots of energy out. Um, I don't know if you've noticed anything else.
No, that pretty much hit the nail on that. I said to her the other day, I said, hey, listen, you got to make sure you start creating some space because I can see him leeching to you more.
Mm,
He's already kind of a dog that could be really leechy. So
yeah. I was gonna ask though, when you were talking, Brent, about like who becomes the alpha once the alpha is no longer there. I don't know if that's a thing with just two dogs,
Well,
but
what's interesting is I do believe like the role of alpha male and female are always open. You know, like right now I have 5 boy dogs, and my dog Grandpa is keeping all the boys in line. As soon as he passes, which he might have another year and a half, but as soon as he passes, there's going to be some upheavals. I already know, and I already know how it's going to happen, right? But yeah, but sorry, I don't know if that was your question, but
no, no,
like,
no, you're fine. It's really interesting to me, but I'm curious how Roscoe and Crunch will be because I don't see Roscoe being the alpha at all.
no, he's a little bitch of a dog, and that's okay.
and what might happen is Crunch might step up because he's still young, right? What is he, a year?
He's super young. Yeah, he's 1 year old, a year and a
Yeah,
month.
over this next year, you're going to see some more dominant, assertive behaviors develop in Crunch,
Yep.
and not necessarily horrible, but like you're going to see him take on more responsibility because the slots are open, and Roscoe is not the type to do that. So he lost the person who made him feel safe, and now he's going to the person who also makes him feel safe, which is you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's like looking for comfort, but I remember safety is an emotional thing, and so if you don't give him safety, or not give him safety, like if you don't give him attention, then he has to find other ways of finding safety,
Mhm.
right? And then Crunch will naturally probably like step up to the plate because he's big and strong.
Cannot wait for that. And I've already seen, you know, we've talked more about this, but it's funny how dogs go through these different stages in life. And he's finally now into adolescence as a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a big pussy, right? But he's starting to fill into this dog where it's like, dude, I hope one day this dog is Xena and you know what, Brent? There may be that it may be that that's not the case. Like, and that's totally fine. It's like, all right. Um, and that's going to be interesting when we eventually add in a third dog to this pack. So just to recap real quick, when we lose a dog, understand that we must stick to a schedule. We must create space from our dogs if we're noticing some clinginess. We also really have to keep these dogs active. Anything you want to add on to that, Brent?
Yeah, I would just be, you know, and this is a big order because this is ultimately the solution. Like, if you guys are in charge of your dogs, then you can provide that comfort and security that
Yes.
we're talking about. But when you're not in charge of your dogs, it's a bigger order to fill, right? And so if we haven't demonstrated, like to just go back to like what Xena does, like Xena legit was the enforcer, right? Something went down or someone was under threat, and she goes, I got this. That physical behavior of taking charge of a situation in the animal kingdom and in the human kingdom, we're animals too, you know, is what subconsciously makes us feel, I'm so glad you're here to keep us safe. I'm so glad you're here to take charge of the situation so I don't have to. And it's not a really spoken thing. It's just something that we feel, right? I feel that this person who takes charge I really like them because the way they make me feel, right? And so in a perfect world, you, the dog owner, would be that person to your dog. But sometimes our schedules may not allow it. Maybe we're not present enough. Yeah, and I guess we don't have to be in a rush to like try and fix this broken thing or this vacuum in the relationship, but let's see how things play out and deal with things as they come. Yeah.
Bingo. Yeah, because you can't naturally I know a lot of people want their oldest dog to be the most dominant dog, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't work like that.
No.
It does work itself out, and as long as you are, you know, like we often talk about a pecking order, although the force-free cultists will say there's no pecking order, right? And stuff like that. It's like, well, there is a clear pecking order. It's going to be me and Francesca number one, but they will figure their own little slot out. And that's natural and okay, as long as no one's abusing any power, right, or abusing anything. As Brent, as you were talking about that, so when we would bring dogs here for foster evaluations, I liked having my dogs in the backyard, and I would take this foster and I'd walk them up to the fence to see. It's so funny how that plays out, where Xena is always the one who's first at the gate. Ross goes 5 feet behind, and then Crunch is 2 feet behind. But it's like there is a clear dog that is
Never
in.
noticed that.
Oh, it's beautiful. Like, and it's so beautiful
That
to
is
see.
so cool.
But it is a visual description of exactly what you're talking about, and it just kind of came into my mind. Yeah, that is a beautiful thing.
And what I love about dogs or people when they take charge, you don't have to be a dick about it. Like, it's just understood. It's just like a dog who's in charge just walks the walk and doesn't even have to talk the talk, just walks the walk. And then dogs just know, oh, he's in charge. I mean, I used to run a daycare. I mean, I still technically run a daycare, but back when I was like actively in the daycare with the dogs on a regular basis, you could tell which dogs were the well-respected dominant ones. And they were always the cool, calm, collected, fair, consistent dogs. And these are the dogs that could get along with everyone. But if someone was out of line, just one little, that dog would just get crazy for a second and regulate that dog. And everyone, just like that opening scene of The Lion King, everyone would like bow a little bit. And you're just like, wow. Because, to our little human brains, we're just not paying attention to the nonverbal communication. There's so much nonverbals going on. And anytime we see it, we're just like, wow, how intelligent of them. No, like this is actually like the most primitive thing, like it's so simple and baseline to animals, at least mammals, like pack animals. But it's cool to notice it in our dogs because it allows us to understand the dynamic. That's why I always kind of relate some social dynamics to human dynamics, because they're super parallel.
Brent, we just lost our dog and we're down to 2 dogs, which I don't like. I like having 3 dogs at a minimum. I think it's a lot of fun with 3. And I want a 3rd dog. And maybe you as a dog trainer can give me guidance on when I'm ready, because here's where I struggle with this, okay? Crunch is 15, 16 months, give or take. He's doing great. His training's phenomenal. He's exactly where I need him to be in training-wise. I still think he's immature, right? Like, he's still he's a large dog, so at 16 months, they are not mature yet.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart tells me to get a dog soon. My brain tells me I should wait until this dog finishes going through maturity until I get another dog. And, in my mind, I'm like, well, when is that? Probably when he is closer to 18, 20 months old. So next summer. What are your thoughts on, knowing my pack dynamic, should I bring a dog in now? Should I wait? What are your thoughts?
Are you looking for a puppy or are you looking for like an older rescue?
I'll get a dog underneath 4 or 5 months. So
okay. Yeah. A pup. I think so. Two things are, a lot of people don't get dogs because of the perceived stress a second dog will have on their life. It's just like the projection of stress. Now, it's easier to have a big projection of stress if you currently have a dog who's misbehaved, right? So if you have a naughty dog currently, you think, wow, that naughty dog is going to be multiplied by 2. So your mental math, like your emotional math, is going to be like double trouble, no way, Jose, right? That's assuming you're going to get a dog exactly like your dog, right? And some people do. Some people have. I'm like, why the fuck did you get 2 of the same dominant females. Like, why did you do that, right? So that's one thing. I'm a big advocate, as we talked about earlier, for multiple dog households. It is way easier when your dogs currently are under control, or you have a good routine or a good system with your dogs now. So that being the case, and you're a little hard case because you're a professional dog trainer, and as long as emotionally you are ready to give love to another animal, right? I'd say you could start right away, right? You might have your own opinions, but I'll just say you can start right away as long as you know you have the time to at least dedicate the next year to a puppy, right? Just like you did Crunch. So the big thing is more the emotional things that get in the way, the emotional logic that we use to not get a dog. People getting dogs is completely their own journey. Like replacing a dog, or I don't even want to say the word replacing, but that's kind of what sometimes how people frame
Fill and
it.
avoid, yeah.
Yeah, people will avoid that idea. You will never replicate the dog that you had, right? Like they're one and only, they're one of a kind. So never try to fulfill a void that you feel. Like if you're grieving, you should grieve. If you're in pain, process that pain, talk to people about that. Like the best way to deal with grief is to talk to people and talk about it. And it's not that it stops hurting, but your nervous system stops being scared of the feelings of hurt, right? And one of the things I texted you, Vinny, was something that someone told me was the reason it hurts so bad is because you love them so much, right? And the fact that you're in so much pain and grief over a dog that you lose is because it's like equal to the amount of love, right? So like the more pain, the more love. And sometimes our nervous systems get overwhelmed with that loss, and that it turns into a trauma and all that stuff. And a lot of that has to do with maybe how we frame it to ourselves. But the more I talk about the loss of my dogs, the more I'm able to process it, the more people I have around me who can understand it and I can share that have empathy for me, the more my nervous system learns to regulate, and it opens my heart up again to love again. You know what I mean? And some people are wired different. Some people are more sensitive, and some people could like get a dog tomorrow, because that's how they deal with it. But I would just say, as long as you're emotionally ready, then you can get a dog right away.
Yeah.
So,
I like that. As soon as you said that, I knew I wasn't ready. Right? Like as soon as you said, because it makes you think of like, you know what, I really am not, because I'm not in a good place yet. So it would be unfair to bring a dog in while I'm still not right. Because technically what ends up happening when we do that is that I end up being harder on this new dog because it's not Xena, right? And it's like I already know after just that little, thank you for that. It was beautiful. But after that little spiel, I know that I'm not ready. And the other thing that tells me I'm not ready, like one of the reasons I know I'm not ready for another dog too is because of Roscoe.
Yeah.
Because he's not in a great place right now over this past week, 10 days, whatever it's been. I can tell he's just not in the best spot. So if he was ready though, like if he was totally normal, I just after listening to you talk, I'm not. And that's okay. That's a beautiful thing. My heart is not open for another dog. As soon as you said, I'm like, no, it's not. It's still so hurt, and it's still not ready to let go of her. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I also think like uh creating a new norm or consistency with R2 now would help. Because I was actually kind of surprised by your answer, Brent. I thought you were going to say definitely not wait, only based on Roscoe and Crunch.
Mhm.
So no, I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think there's, but I do like your answer though. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you are, because there's so many clients that get another dog right away, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just not what it's not what I could do. Um, but
well, and that's the thing. You'll see a bunch of different strategies. You'll see some people that they know their dog's on their last year, so they get a puppy, right?
Mhm.
You'll see people who they lose a dog and in pain get a new dog to try and fill that void, which I think is maladaptive. I think it's maladaptive if you're suffering and you're just trying to plug the hole in the boat a little bit, right? With another puppy. And a lot of my clients who've done that, they always say the same thing. I keep comparing him to so and so, and I'm so mad at this. You said it, you hit it right on the head. You said, I'll get more frustrated. I'll be tougher on this dog because they're not my last dog. And so I think it's really important to like mourn that dog and celebrate that dog so that you don't do that, right? That dog is one of a kind. You've been blessed to have that dog, and you'll never have that dog again. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And yeah. So when you invite this new dog in, it's like a new relationship, new experiences. And, I don't have any kids, but I've been really getting into like parenting books and stuff. And they talk a lot about like good parenting is letting your kid become who they're supposed to be, and mind you, that's general, right? I don't know. Like maybe they should, I don't know.
You would be a great dad.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You'd be an amazing dad. I'm
You're
just
so
thinking
sweet
about it now that you said
You're
that.
so sweet. Thank you so much. But yeah, like letting them be who they want to be while shaping their values and their character, right? Like it's same thing with a dog. Like you might have a dog who's you have a crunch right now. That's the first crunch you've ever had. That was the first Xena you ever had, Thurman, our big boy. Trigger's Field. Yeah. So those are the first dogs you'll ever have that are them. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
I have a question for
Mhm.
Francesca. What does maladaptive mean?
Okay.
What's it mean? He said it twice.
Not counterproductive, but kind of like
Yeah, like it works against you.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like an unhealthy
What you're
way.
doing is the opposite.
Well, the good news is I had no idea what the word
Oh,
meant. So
okay.
yeah, that wasn't me putting you on the spot because I didn't think you knew.
I thought this was
It was me putting me on
another
the spot because I was like, what the
counter
fuck word
conditioning.
did yeah, classic. What the hell did Brent just say?
Maladaptive.
I got it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of this saying, Vinnie, in dog training. I think Caesar used to say it. He says, you don't always get the dog you want, but sometimes you get the dog you need, right? And just like every relationship with a human, every relationship I've had with a dog, and I'm so blessed to be able to train so many dogs throughout the years that I've built close bonds with, right? What were some things that your dog, Xena, taught you?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. So when I first came into Vinny and Xena's life, Z didn't like me,
What?
but she would turn her nose up at me. She wouldn't listen to me. She wanted nothing to do with me. So then I kind of felt the same way. I'm like, I don't know about this Xena dog. Like I don't know how
Dominant
this is gonna
female
work.
versus dominant female. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I would say it was like that for probably at least a year. And then it slowly flipped a switch where she became my girl. Like I've only been really into boy dogs, and she became my best friend. Like we just adored each other. As silly as that sounds, we did. I know she adored me, and I completely adored her. But some things that she taught me, I think the most important and cliche one is, uh, like how they always say dogs teach you unconditional love or like to be present. That was her jam. Like she needed nothing but like subtle attention. The smallest recognition, a pat on the head, like a little bit went a long way with her, and it showed. Like she soaked up every ounce of affection that she got, and it was pure, and she loved it, and I don't know.
Yeah, I'll say this about Xena. During her first few years of her life, did I ever tell you she was rehomed twice? By the way, she was a rescue dog. I got her at 9 months old. 80-year-old lady lost her husband and her 10-year-old Saint Bernard in 1 week. And at 80, she thought
Heavy.
it was a good idea to get a Saint Bernard puppy, right? And this goes to back to what we talked about earlier about filling this void. And this was a terrible decision logically, but everyone could understand why someone would do that, right? Like it doesn't take much of a brain to go, oh, why would you do that? Of course you did that, right? You lost everything you knew in life and you tried to fill this void with a puppy, but not the greatest idea. I went to go check her out because a client of mine was like, hey, this 80-year-old lady now has this 7-month-old or 8-month-old Saint Bernard, and she needs to rehome her. And I'm like, dude, I do not want another dog. I've got two. I'm still living at freaking home at this time. And I got 2 dogs. So I went and checked her out and I loved her. And I was like, I need a day. So I'm going to wait 1 day. I'll call you tomorrow. I went home, called her the next day. They fucking rehomed her to somebody else. Right? I know. I was like, well,
So quick.
yeah. I was like, okay, well and I remember my mom going, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And clearly it's not meant to be. And 2 days later, these people called.
It was meant to
This
be.
dog's out of control. She's jumping, she's biting, this whole 9 yards. So I'm like, all right, if you don't want her anymore, bring her to my house in an hour and a half. Oh, you got to bring her to my house in an hour and a half. I will take this dog from you. Bring her leash, bring her crate. Done. They brought this dog and they were druggies. Like, I don't know why
Yeah.
they got this dog in the first place. They're just not great people.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if if they somehow listen to this, but but I brought Xena in. I immediately let my other 2 dogs out. We went on a long walk, and it was like from that moment on, this dog was one of the easiest dogs you'll ever have. She was a great dog, and Xena was so loyal to me, and an extremely loyal dog. And Xena, I don't mean this in a negative way. Xena is like some analogy you'll understand. She was like Scottie Pippen. Okay. So she was not Michael Jordan. She was
Right.
not on NBA covers. She was not winning all the awards. She was the reason the championships were won and no one knew about it. Right. So it's like for Pittsburgh people, it's Evgeny Malkin. Right. Like Crosby gets all of the attention, but there is this other guy who turns it on and who kind of keeps this team going. That was Xena. Like Trigger was my dog. Like that was my boy. Xena was, she's my girl, but she was always second fiddle. And even when I got Crunch, like Crunch was my boy. He reminded me of Trigger. But Xena's the reason everything worked. Xena was the glue, right?
Yeah.
And it was interesting for me to kind of this past week sit back and look at everything, from a bird's eye view and go, damn, that dog really kept everything together. And funny enough, dude, you know how life gets where you're super busy, right? And unfortunately, during the last few years of her life, minus the last year, but the last few years of her life, I was really busy and I was not home as much. And that bitch turned on me. Right? Like it was no longer my dog. She became Francesca's dog. Right? And it's like one of the most infuriating things ever. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's like, how do you become? But that was actually one of the most beautiful things for me to see is go, all of a sudden, this dog who I've saved your life, you bitch. And now you have gotten this relationship with my wife, and they were inseparable, and I was like, that's so cool to see that. It's really cool to see the dynamics change, but why wouldn't she? You're the one taking her out for walks. You're the one taking her on the farm. You're the one doing training with her. You're the one feeding her. I'm just there to get the spoils at the end of the day. And it's sad, but it's also really beautiful. It really is to see that. One more thing Xena taught me is I always look back at this one moment. She's a year old. I took her to a training session, and she would come with me. She was unbelievable as a demo dog. And I took her off leash before she was ready. And this bitch ran and did zoomies at the park, right? As I'm doing training sessions, and I'm like, oh my God. But it was so humbling. Right? It's like dogs make mistakes. And I use that example all the time of like, hey, this is a dog trainer's dog who is totally lost control right now. Right? It's like, but they're dogs, dude. Like they're not all perfect all the time. That's okay. Like it's just take a breath. Like realistically, you're not trying to create a soldier. You're creating a dog and a bond with this dog. And that story will live with me forever. I love that story. It was
awesome.
one of the most embarrassing moments ever, right? You're like, ooh, that's tough.
You're like, I planned it like this. she'll come back at the time I trained her to come back. Yeah, that's funny. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's really amazing. I really appreciate you guys opening up and sharing this story, and thank you guys for listening to the podcast. If you guys have lost a dog, the best advice that I could give you is talk to people about it, right? Like talk to people who get it, talk to people who've been there, and really try to honor your dogs. I hope this doesn't come off wrong, but sometimes when we lose our dogs, we make it our whole fucking personality. And if you, by honoring your dog's memory and all the good things, all the positive things, think of all the things that went well. Think of all the things that didn't go so well, right? Think of all the beautiful moments. But I think like really honoring that memory, like really focus on the positive, because that's the only way you heal. And that's what love is, right? Love is try even after death, give your dogs unconditional love, and honor them and try to heal, because it can be hard sometimes, but it's if you lead with love, you're gonna get there for sure. So my name's Brent Librata, and that's Vinnie Somma and Francesca Somma, and this is the Dog Owners Podcast, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.